I was just gonna say that one of the other things that I think uh, is just outstanding about Blade Runner 2049, the sequel, is something that's very relevant right now, because we're in the midst of this like crazy time with Hollywood right now, where there's just in the last 20 years, there's been this massive, massive explosion of these weird sequels. And I didn't even know this term existed until a friend of mine, Steven, said it to me. And now it's something I've been thinking about ever since we watched these movies. But this concept of a legacy sequel, not just a sequel that takes place or that happened way later than the previous films or film, but specifically a sequel that happened way later than the like that was made way later than what would traditionally be made, but also specifically that brings back the same actors from the previous movie
Mm.
playing the same characters. So the reason I bring this up is because there have been a crapload of them now. And in my humble opinion, there have only been a handful that are really good. Most of them are pretty bad. And I would argue that Blade Runner 2049 is the best legacy sequel ever made.
But I guess if there's not too many good ones, then it doesn't say much.
Well, but there's a lot of them. This is just off the top of my head. I wrote this down before we came. So you guys tell me what you think here, okay? But there's Matrix 4, Rocky Balboa, which is Rocky 6, Creed, Creed 2, Blade Runner 2049, Terminator Dark Fate. That's the last one that they just did with Linda Hamilton and whatever. There's two different Halloween movies, Halloween H2O and the Halloween from 2018. I think Live Free Die Hard, the fourth one and the fifth one, are both would be considered that. Jurassic World, Jurassic World 2, Independence Day, Resurgence. I mean, I'm just listing a bunch of pretty mediocre movies here at this point, Rambo 4 and 5, Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, um, the whole Star Wars Disney trilogy, the Scream 4, and now the one that's in theaters right now, Scream 5, Alien Resurrection, The Predator, Tron Legacy. I mean, like it goes on and on and on. Bad Boys for Life, Highlander Endgame. Yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of movies that have just started coming out in the last 15 to 20 years or so. And anytime they make these movies, they tend to be pretty bad or at least very mediocre. I mean, I think Creed and this one are probably the best ones.
There's no doubt that Denis has proved himself. I think he said when he took this movie on, he said that, it's a sequel, and he was worried about the fandom and stuff to get into,
Mm.
the beloved movie, but he wanted to tackle it and be as respectful as possible of the fandom and the best movie that he can possibly make, and he did. So I give him credit for that, but it's yeah, I guess I gave him. I guess 7 is not a stellar rating, but
It's not a terrible rating.
it's but it's still. I'm sure I would rate all those movies that you mentioned less.
Can you guys
So,
think of like either what I said or anything that I might have missed? Can you think of any movie that would qualify as a legacy sequel that you would say is as good or better than Blade Runner?
No. The funny thing is, a lot of them involve Harrison Ford.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I can see the whatchamacallit, the is it the Last Jedi thing?
Mhm.
The middle one of the new ones. I like that one. I mean, it is a legacy. It's one of those legacy movies, and I think some of the more dramatic stuff happened there, like when they brought Luke Skywalker back to save the day, essentially. I mean,
I'm
that's
I opened the door for that, and I apologize because, as I've said before, we cannot start talking about Star Wars on
oh,
this
Star
podcast
Wars. It's a
without making a
problem.
whole episode about it. I would, especially those three Star Wars movies. I can't. I just can't. We can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's. I don't know what I rated it. I don't even know if I rated it, but yeah, it might be a close call, but maybe I would between the two movies, I would definitely revisit that movie before I would revisit 2049. I don't know. Yeah.
I thought Creed was
I
really
just
good.
I thought it was a bit overrated. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was good. It was not as bad as Rocky 5.
Oh, yeah,
but
definitely not as bad as that.
but it's on par with Rocky Balboa.
Okay.
Good as 4, or 3 or 2. I mean, 3 wasn't amazing, but it just didn't have the same charm as the Rocky movies. But it did his own thing, and Ryan Coogler is a very talented storyteller and filmmaker, so he did his own thing, and it wasn't a Rocky movie. It just wasn't. It's just not. It just went off in a different direction, which it already did with Rocky Balboa, and maybe Rocky 5 a bit. But yeah, it's
I
fine.
think the less we say about Rocky 5, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the problem with the what was the term that you used?
Legacy sequel?
Yeah, legacy sequels is that by and large they tend to turn into like paint by numbers.
Hmm.
I mean, even with Creed, I mean, I could tell you from the beginning of the movie that Adonis Creed was going to lose his final fight because it was Rocky again. It's good, but I could tell you from the beginning of the movie how it was going to end. And I'm the last person on earth to criticize a movie for being predictable, because like when you've seen as many movies as the three of us have, it's pretty unusual for you to be surprised at the end of a movie. But yeah, I mean that was just one of those things where yeah, it's a good movie, but I kind of knew where everything was going from the beginning.
Hmm.
I mean, the journey matters more than the end. I mean, a movie is kind of like sex, in that way. Like it's about getting it's about running the race, uh, and being attentive, and putting the effort in any given scenario, and not just focusing on the ending like M. Night Shyamalan does. But at some point you've got to have some kind of creativity in there, and I think most of these sequels kind of fall into that area of we're just going to kind of rehash what's already been done.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting subject of conversation.
We'll see
And
how
I mean, I
Scream
think,
5 is. I don't know. I haven't seen it
yeah,
Wait, what?
yet. Scream
Scream
5?
5.
Oh, okay.